Discovery Weekly.
Welcome to Discovery Weekly, a bonus show from the podcast Discovery Show where we put all of our extra discoveries throughout the week. I'm Zach.
I'm Kirk.
And I'm Matt.
And we have a very special guest. Mr. Billy Mays III is joining us, and we couldn't be more excited.
Hey, guys.
Thanks
By
so
the way,
much for
Billy,
coming on, man.
I get so excited, and I always forget to mention it because I don't hear it when we're recording. But the intro that you did for Discovery Weekly is so freaking good.
Oh my God.
I love it so much. I really do.
Like every time I listen to Discovery Weekly every week now, and it's a special joy to hear my music like leading us in, because I'm just I banged that song out. I was like, I don't know why, this is just it. I'm sending it to the guys, and it just like it feels good.
Perfect. And it's so easy because it cuts off so perfectly that then when Zach starts saying, introducing the show, it just feels so good.
Yeah, it makes me feel
crisp.
Good. It's one of my life's great accomplishments. No lie.
We love it. We absolutely love it. I discovered this week that Jeff Bezos is taking another step towards becoming a supervillain. So he already has spaceships. He has a ridiculous
robots,
amount of money. He has robots.
Drones.
He has an entire workforce of several million people that are just shipping packages everywhere. But now he is investing a ton of money into a company that is purely aimed at trying to cheat death, trying to reverse aging. Apparently, this is something that Jeff Bezos has been interested in for a while now. But he has just invested into a company called Altos Labs. And what they're doing is right now it's almost like a think tank. So they have a bunch of doctors, a bunch of really high level doctors, honestly. And they have some of this, it feels woo woo because it's just so strange. But they've discovered a couple genes that they think if you can interact with them specifically, that you could reverse like cell decay, which is what causes aging. And so that's what they're aiming for. And
well, didn't we learn that like crocodiles or something like that, like don't die of old age?
I think there is a couple animals that they don't have the same. They don't have the same cell breakdown that we do. Where
they're
you
like
just
elves, they have to be killed. Because they don't just die naturally.
Because I think that like literally our DNA starts as we age. That starts not replicating as cleanly, and so you start getting errors, and that's when you'll start getting cancer cells developing. Things start to break down, and so they're trying to figure out how to do this. And there is a bunch of people in this that it's pretty crazy. There's people who worked for CRISPR, the gene editing company. So there's scientists from that. There's scientists for stem cells. There is a Nobel Prize winner who essentially came up with these certain things. His name is Shinya Yamanaka, and the Japanese researcher discovered that 4 specific proteins, now known as Yamanaka factors, could be added to a cell that would help reprogram it into its stem cell state. So in theory, you would do something to people and your cells would no longer break down. They would be able to rapidly adapt to whatever it needed, and you would reverse aging. And this is
how you make the Hulk.
This is how you do something. And it's wild. And I mean, they've already started testing this on mice and things like that. And it's got to be somewhat far along, I guess, for Bezos to get involved. But it definitely rings dystopian to me. As soon as you start hearing about the richest guy on the planet be like, I want to also live forever, you're like, okay, that's maybe not great.
Well, first of all, one thing is that obviously this technology is going to be only available to super rich people.
Yes.
And if it becomes available to the common person, it's going to be like something really twisted, and it's going to mess things up. It's just not. It's
indentured
like too
servitude when they bring you back or something.
Yeah, right. Isn't that show Altered Carbon? Isn't that kind of what that is?
Yeah, they basically take bodies of poor people for the rich people.
Secondly, I feel like, are they using the mRNA like spike protein stuff like from the vaccines? Like, isn't that how you communicate with the DNA like that? I wonder if that's what they're doing, is sending mRNA targeting, because I'm hearing that is a big thing right now, is like the same technology that's being used for the current vaccines is also going to be what they do to vaccinate you for other things like cancer and stuff.
And I don't know. I don't see anything about mRNA on here, and I don't understand
I'm just
enough.
maybe I should join the team.
Yeah, I mean, he's like Zach said, it's like a think tank. So I'm sure that it's like a lot of just theoretical things and specialists in these different fields.
Yeah,
but would you guys want to live forever if you could? If that was an option,
live longer.
You wouldn't live
I don't think
forever.
is it?
You're still going to get wiped out by climate change.
Yeah, I mean, at some point we're all underwater, I guess. But yeah, no, I mean, it would be cool to do like longer, but the whole idea of immortality sounds not great.
I guess comfort while you are alive is good.
Yeah.
Like not having to deal with like
aging,
your bad back and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems
Just
to be the
sell
only
everything, invest into something you think's going to be good, and then just go to sleep for 40 years, then wake up and be like, I'm a millionaire now.
So you would basically be aging, and then you'd revert cells back into their stem cells.
Okay, so
Right?
I think
It's like it's
aging
stem
is
cell
just our
treatment.
bodies breaking down.
So
all
he
of our
wants
cells.
Benjamin
Right.
Button is what he wants.
I know that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it's
Into a
like
baby.
Benjamin Button, but it's
Oh.
forward and then just right back. and
So
then
you're going to be an
forward.
immortal baby. So you go all the way back to baby, and then you're immortal.
My wife
Well,
would
and
say
then-
I've already done that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so you're just constantly going. I'm envisioning someone becoming really old, taking this stuff, becoming really really young, and then once again aging, becoming really really old.
Oh, so you just keep going, hit it
Yeah,
again.
and there's no like middle there, because like you wouldn't take it when you're middle age, because you're like, I'm still fine, and then you're like, oh, now I'm a baby again.
I wonder what the sweet spot is. Yeah, because I mean, I bet if they overshoot it, they're going to start hitting some lawsuits. If it's Baby Bezos, I mean, I'm sure there's a documentary deal for him in
Would
it.
you strangle Baby Bezos if you saw him? Like if you traveled back in time, you save the country, save the world.
This is the
that
plot for
baby.
Boss Baby 3. This is Boss Baby 3.
Is it?
This is Boss
Yeah.
Baby.
No. I don't know. It's not.
Boss Baby 3, The Killing.
No, this is Avengers
Yeah.
Endgame. This is what they were gonna. Would they strangle Baby Thanos if they'd go back in time?
Boss
But yeah, I just
Baby
wanted to make
Bezos.
everybody a little more worried about Jeff Bezos. So enjoy
If
that.
you could go back in time, would you kill
Thank you.
baby Hitler?
That's exactly that's the conundrum.
Well,
what
I mean,
other doors do you open by doing that?
Yeah, I mean, that's
No.
butterfly effect stuff where if you kill baby Hitler, then yeah, there's no Hitler. But
You
what if
fuck up
you just
Ashton
ruined?
Kutcher's life?
Yeah, you've ruined Ashton Kutcher.
I didn't get the joke at first. It took me a second. Oh man, it's pretty good.
I don't know.
I
stem
would
cells are
probably-
stem cells. You
I would
can
just
see
go back.
they. Yo, go ahead. I was gonna just say that stem
No.
cells. Stem cells are like I do see like with sports and stuff. Like you can make someone's knees like come back to life. So
Mhm.
obviously there's something there. I don't know. And a lot of people don't believe in the stem cell treatments because they pull it from fetuses and stuff, or they
Mhm.
pull it from anywhere. Actually, they pull it from like animals and I think even plants and stuff now too. So it's not just strictly aborted fetuses that they're pulling these from, which used to be the big debate.
Yeah, it definitely was in the past.
Yeah, but I think Jeff Bezos is strictly pulling those ones of his
of,
village.
the workers that
He's specifically
die in the
requested.
warehouse.
Yeah,
Well, Bezos is going to sue our show, and he will win easily.
Soon to be
Yes.
an Amazon exclusive, the podcast Discovery show.
We will all be replaced by the robots. The
You guys know
podcast
you know
robots.
the Jeff Bezos Bo Burnham songs, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like dying to know if Jeffrey has heard those songs or even seen the whole Bo Burnham special. Like I just need to know that information.
He
know?
does not seem like someone that would be self-aware and would like those jokes.
I don't
can't-
know. It's
yeah,
not
I
even
don't
jokes.
know.
It's like so sarcastic. It's so steeped in sarcasm that it's like literally a Jeff Bezos like gas up song. Like
That's
if you just
such a
take it
great
out of
movie, right?
context,
It's
Yes,
such a great movie.
Bezos, you did it. Oh, but then he says, "Yeah, fuck their wives, drink their blood. Come on, do it, do it."
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is a great
exactly.
movie.
It's a pump up song for him.
Yeah.
Across
I
the
mean,
board.
I'll throw out one last thing. Did you guys see him when he landed from his low Earth atmosphere
From his
Watch.
penis rocket?
Yeah, when he came out of the penis rocket and he was wearing a tiny cowboy hat like he was in Armageddon.
Oh, yeah.
The guy is the biggest dork. I'm sorry, he just is.
The interview was ridiculous too. He was just like having these like trippy thoughts. He was just like, "It's gonna save the world, man!" Like all this stuff. And like everyone's just like, "What are you talking about?" Like you just went up in the air, like you flew a plane, basically. Like
Why flew a plane really high?
Why did he make it so phallic? It had to be on purpose, right?
I think
It looks just.
it's a
Sorry.
It
It's
looks
just
like a bit from Austin Powers.
It did. It looked.
Freud could tell you why he did that.
So I remember I didn't watch any of this stuff. When we were at work. I didn't have time for that crap. And I opened up Twitter and I saw all these things talking about the rocket. And then I was like, okay, I gotta look at this thing. And I looked at it. I'm like, this is a meme, right? This isn't real. This isn't.
No, it's
Dr.
It was
Evil,
the actual rocket. I'm like, how is this a thing?
Well, that's like literally the beginning of Austin Powers 2, where he's like, Johnson, and they're like looking at it on a radar, and it's like it looks like
it looks exactly like it looks
Yeah.
exactly like his spaceship.
What if some like engineer? It was all just he's like, no, it has to look like this, Jeff.
For aerodynamics.
And that person is a hero and a legend.
Yeah.
That person will never be heard from again.
Yeah.
He had to
They
have
have like a single tear going down their cheek while it's taking
like, I
off.
did
Everyone's
it.
like, it looks like a penis, and he's like, yes, it does.
Just seeing the trending topic and just like, okay, my work here is done as he gets carted away to the underground, like
wherever
jail.
it is, the Amazon gulag.
Yeah.
I feel like we may have lost the plot just a little bit.
I don't think we did. I was concerned about bringing this one for this reason, but I think it's worth it. Really, the world needs to know.
This could be a Bezos centered episode. We ought to tie it back to Bezos because everything does tie back to Bezos.
Yeah, it does. You got a good segue there, Kirk?
Oh no, it's me. Speaking of crybabies and babies who cry,
Nice.
I was waiting. Oh my god, I had this one ready to go, and I was like, somebody's gonna bring up like a politician or something, and I'm gonna say, speaking of crybabies, because that's what mine's about. So listen, I'm gonna preface this by saying, do any of you have Apple TV Plus, their streaming service?
No.
It's actually they have tons of bangers. They have Ted Lasso. They have an M. Night Shyamalan show.
Season 1 was really good. Season 2.
I like the second one. I like it so far. Anyway, so their shows are great, but like one show that my partner and I watched, it's called Becoming You, and it's a documentary series. So it's a global documentary series about the first 2,000 days of a child's life, but it's all around the world, kids from all around the world. And it's narrated by Olivia Colman, Oscar winner Olivia Colman. And it's just like, it's like Planet Earth, but about babies. So there's no like, you don't learn about the families. You just learn the baby's name. And then you're kind of like a fly on the wall as they learn to walk or wherever they're doing. And sometimes you're in Paris and it's just like a kid learning something. And sometimes you're in like I don't know, Greenland or something. And it's a kid that's like riding a donkey with his family, like trying to get to the next settlement. And it's all around the world. So it's a great show, whatever. They're constantly jumping around. Each episode is based on like how a baby learns to talk all around the world, and then that's what an episode is like centered around that. Just like Planet Earth. So one episode, I think it was about like them getting in touch with their emotions, like how they learn their emotions. And in Japan, there is a festival called Nakazumo, and it is also known as the Nakazumo Crying Baby Festival. And so basically, all I can tell you is that there's a crowd of people, and they show you this in the show, and I'll read more about it in a minute, but there's a crowd of people, and people bring their babies. And I think it's like they're like within 6 months old, like under 6 months, something like that. And basically 2 sumo wrestlers, like a sumo wrestler grabs one baby and another sumo wrestler grabs another baby. And the babies are kind of dressed in like sumo gear, kind of like they just kind of.
Sumo wrestlers look like giant babies.
Yeah, exactly.
They do.
So the sumos hold the babies and they face each other like in the ring. Okay. And there's a referee. And then they just start screaming the sumo wrestler just starts screaming, and the winner is the baby that cries first. And the crowd's going wild. And then as soon as the baby cries, that baby wins. And they hold the baby up and it's like that baby won. And you're like, oh my God, are they traumatizing these kids? And it turns out they in the show, they kind of like explain the significance and why this exists and everything. And like how what this baby's doing is like, it's actually really like healthy for them to activate these emotions the way they're doing it. But then to be encouraged.
Sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, no, me too. And, but then to be encouraged for crying in the face of danger is like a really formative thing for a baby, I guess. And so I'm on their website right now. And it's literally the first line says, all parents hope their children will grow up to be strong and healthy, and many take part in this event. And then it says, blah, blah, blah. It's talking about like why it takes place at this spot and everything. And then basically a referee tries to make babies being held by sumo wrestlers cry, as these cries are said to be a sign of good health. With the first event being very well received, it soon became an annual tradition that's especially popular among parents hoping to raise strong and healthy children. So it's like a thing. Like they
so
like,
there's just like different rounds of different babies.
Yes, I think it's just. I don't know if it's a tournament. Like I don't think it's that far.
A tournament,
yeah.
Bracket.
I don't think it's like that. I think it's like symbolic. But the best thing, the best thing is just they don't tell you what's going on in the show. They're just, you see a sumo guy like hold a baby and then just start going and like making these babies cry. And you're like, oh my God, like what are we watching right now? And then it turns out that it's like this really like a healthy, good thing. And I loved it. I was like, this is awesome.
I totally am not qualified to know if it's a healthy thing. I just think it's really funny to think about the first time they did this. This is not like something that they were used to. Now it's like kind of part of it. But at one point, this was the first time. And two sumo wrestlers started yelling at babies, and everybody's like, oh, yeah, that was pretty awesome. We should do this again next year.
Well, I was thinking that it might be like some dude who like got yelled at by his parents. Was like, no, it's good for the kid. Like you just kind of, and he's like, he makes this big deal out of it, and he's constantly recreating that for himself. And he's like, he's the overseer of it, and he's like, because they did show some guy who like started it or whatever.
It reminds me of that discovery we had about the Japanese business building
weeping
thing.
Men? What they call them?
Oh yeah.
They had the beautiful weeping men, whatever. They get like models to come in there and like watch sad things of like dogs being killed and stuff, and then you have to make everyone cry. You have to cry with them.
Yeah.
So weird.
Well, maybe that's like a Japanese thing of like, really like zooming in on the emotions and like
I think they're very
providing
stoic
a place
culturally.
It feels like the opposite. It feels like the reason they do that thing in business is because people are so reserved. And it almost feels like the thing that you're speaking of is, almost a different.
No, I think it's the same. I think it's like, let's go to a festival and like make it this one place where it's okay for you to cry when a sumo wrestler's screaming at you.
Time you're allowed to cry,
and then it's like, from now on, we're going to be on the train and we're just going to be like,
I think life is all downhill from there. Like most of the things you're going to experience are going to make you cry if you've been yelled at by a sumo wrestler as a baby.
Maybe they need the weeping men because they have this baby shout match. Like, maybe they just mess these kids up, and then they're messed up adults who then need crying men to cry for them.
That could be
That
it.
is wild.
I kind of felt left out.
Yeah,
I was like, I wish that I had that experience.
Like
maybe my emotions are messed up because of it.
I personally would really love to scream at a baby.
Well, I have a daughter. I have a baby daughter right now, and that's why we were watching this show. And at the time, I think she was about 6 or 7 months. So the next morning, Katie woke up, and I was like holding the baby up, and I was like, ah! She was just like, no. I was like, no, it's good for her. I was like, we're activating her. We got to activate this baby right now.
Activating her. Oh God!
So I didn't keep doing that, but maybe I should bring it back now that she's like 11 months. But at a year, I'm going to indoctrinate her. I'm going to find some sumos. Actually, we have been watching 90s wrestling together in the mornings when she wakes up, like 5 a.m. So Yokozuna, do you remember Yokozuna, the giant sumo guy? Anyway, she's been watching him and she's like fine. So maybe she's good. She's not afraid of him.
Was I next?
Yep.
All right. Boy, let's see. Speaking of things to be scared by that you don't have to be scared about, my discovery this week is about the evolution of green screens.
Ooh, ironic.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
If you're watching the stream,
Timely.
you can see that Billy's got one right behind him.
You know what? That's just my green wall.
Oh.
And if you're not watching the stream, then you should, because we will be streaming this again, like we used to, on
We're gonna
Twitch
get better again.
on Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, hop in, watch it live.
True that. So I'm just going to talk a little bit. There's an article on projectorscreenstore.com that goes through sort of how they work. I'm not going to go into that because there's like tech stuff, chroma keying and all this stuff that unless you actually want to use one, you can find that stuff out. But in the early days of green screens were actually black. They were black screens. I'll just read this a little bit. While green screen technology seems relatively new because it is a heavy presence in modern entertainment, the underlying concept and similar technologies have been used for more than 100 years. In 1898, George Albert Smith was replacing parts of images using a double exposure, which had a black cloth in place of the green screen and used incredibly high contrast in the images to make the black elements virtually disappear. These are actually really cool. You should definitely look up George Albert Smith videos because it's like green screen before green screen exists. They're on YouTube or something. But and then after that, in the 1930s, they were blue. They were blue screens, which whatever, different colors. And in the late 1930s, the blue screen first made its way onto film with the special effect of a genie flying out of a bottle. In the 1940s, well, that's not the 1930s. The Thief of Baghdad. In the late 1930s, it first made its way onto the special effect of a genie flying out of a bottle in 1940. That's weird. But there was a new device called an optical printer that would work with two projectors and a beam splitter. I don't know what some of these things are. And a standard film camera. And they would combine the actor who was working in front of the blue screen with a reel of an established background. I wish this had examples of movies that they're in. Oh, I guess The Thief of Baghdad. And then after blue screens, they were Disney yellow. What it says, early days of the green screen, Disney yellow. Sodium vapors were used in some filming during the 60s and 70s to create an intense yellow screen with an extremely specific wavelength, which made the substitution of a background much simpler. The camera for these films had a custom prism that would split the image in that it received and stripe away the yellow. So the film action could be easily placed over the entire background. This is done in a lot of things where it's like side by side with something, like The Parent Trap, where it's the two same people next to each other, and then in Mary Poppins, which won the
Mary
Academy
Poppins.
Award.
I remember was a big deal when it first came out.
Yeah. Interestingly, the technology never caught on because Disney kept a hold on the technology and charged a hefty fee for anyone who wished to rent the rig.
Right.
So nobody used it. And then after that, it was green, like what we know of it as today, as it is the chroma key, because it's a super specific color and it's very easy to separate post, which I don't think they were doing as much before. But basically, at the bottom of this, I thought this was kind of cool. It sort of has if you want to start using a green screen, a few simple kind of like steps in the whole thing. So the one that people almost always don't realize is that lighting is a really big deal on green screens. And it's a very specific type of lighting, and Billy can attest to this. But you have to like light the background as well as the foreground really well, so everything's contrasted and can be separated really easily. Second, that says light the screen. All right, this isn't the best organized website, but one of its pieces of advice that also is often overlooked is the plan your action and movement. So you know if you're going off or whatever, or because if you move too much, that's when the chroma key doesn't work as well, and you can see that bleed in like those old films. It's like they look like they're encased in green. And you have to match your setup to your person, because like if someone has blonde hair or whatever, their clothes, all that stuff. And yeah, I just thought this was kind of cool because green screens are super in right now and everything, and now that we're doing these LED walls, I'm like pretty fascinated by
it's called the volume or whatever, the Disney thing now that they shot the whole Mandalorian on, and it looks you can't even tell they're not in the desert. Like
it's pretty amazing.
Well, I'm just gonna say I'm currently messing with a lot of green screen like we had talked about, and it is crazy because one, I'm very DIY. I only have 2 lights, but they're like dimmable. So they're like kind of LED panels. But I'm trying to light myself in the foreground and the background, and it's not always working right because I'll cast a shadow and stuff. So you'll see little imperfections in it. And like, it's just a stream for me. So I'm not going for perfection. I'm kind of just going for like trippiness. So I got a green shirt to try to like add some fun, and I got a green screen to put under me, which is like a blanket now under me. And I find that there's these weird anomalies where, if the light's not hitting it right, it like that part will like not key out as much. And like I have buttons that light up green, and you won't be able to see what's going on. It's pretty cool.
I've seen that on the buttons, because you can see you can see whatever's on your background on your looper.
Well, have you ever seen like my beard get the green hue?
No,
it'll reflect a little bit, and it won't pick up like the visuals that I'm keying in. But
does it just become a little bit transparent?
Yeah, there's something that happens with the way I light it, and the way like I don't know if it actually doesn't really become transparent. It just kind of like you see that there's a green screen, even though you don't see any green on the screen. You just see a green hue. You know what I mean? Like it's not green enough.
The color reflecting on your
and it's not solid enough to like key out, which I guess is a thing in movies too. Like sometimes you'll see like you said green.
Yeah.
If it's lit too much, they'll still be able to key it out, but you'll know that there's a green shadow or like a slight green tint to them.
All of this has made me know exactly what I'm getting you for your birthday. I'm going to get you one of those green morph suits, like from Sunny.
Yes.
So it could just be a floating head.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Floating guitar.
Floating guitar. Oh yeah, you could put it could just be a guitar, and loop pedals just operating themselves.
Mm-hmm. That would be kind of boring. It'd be like slow TV.
People watching are like, what is this guy just like hit play on music and then just like suspend a guitar?
You'd see headphones. You'd see just floating headphones and guitar.
And a guitar. There you go.
You should do it for October for spooky season. Say that you're a ghost now.
Yep.
But it's super interesting because of the lighting specifically, because it's like 3-point lighting doesn't really work because it casts too many shadows. It's just very fascinating. Yeah, I think.
Well, it's funny that's like it is such a thing now. Like green screen, like everybody has a streaming set. Like so many people are doing stuff like that, and like I would say, what 5 to 10 years ago, it was just like a movie thing, right? Like no one would ever DIY a green screen, or I guess people would, but we're talking like underground garage videos and stuff. But it's not something you would like have as common knowledge out there or like readily available,
I mean, I really think it was with the Zoom, when Zoom got really popular recently, because they have that green screen function with the backdrop.
Which doesn't even need a green screen. Where you don't need a green screen. I mean, it's not great.
I think it's just smart. It's just smart, like Photoshop kind of like, what do they call it? Extract
masking.
There's some word that they have in Photoshop that is like, it'll kind of read what's there. And like TikTok has it now too. it's never perfect, but the fact that they can do it at all, it's like there's some kind of algorithmic, like there's a person, cut that person, keep that person, and then cut everything else. You know,
it's interesting technology because it is funny. Because like we'll be on like conference calls and like the background between like headphones you can see and it'll blur, and if someone moves too fast,
their head like blurs out.
Well, and they have that function where like you can just blur the background, which I always find weird. It's like, what are you hiding back there? Is your dildo on the
It's like, if it is, then I would definitely blur your background.
Yeah. Well, and iPhones, that's what portrait mode is on the iPhone too, is just blurring out the background of what's in the foreground. You know?
Well, speaking of, no, I'm not.
I was waiting for it.
Come on.
So now we are going to travel to Germany this week in my new series of our Atlas Obscura Weekly. I hate the name of this thing. I got to come up with a better name. But we're going to go and discover some castles in Germany. And one of these I have visited, and the other one sounds fascinating, and I want to do it, but only during Halloween time. The first one is Neuschwanstein Castle. You guys ever heard of that one or seen a picture of that thing?
Gesundheit.
I don't think I've heard it said that way, but I think I might have read it.
I didn't hear any syllables that I could pick up.
I can't say it right. Let me spell it for you. Neuschwanstein.
Oh, Neuschwanstein.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Neuschwanstein.
No, I think you nailed it. We were just messing with you.
Anyway, what's fascinating about it is Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland, Cinderella Castle at Magic Kingdom, and numerous other magical castles were all inspired by this real castle. The awe-inspiring retreat of the fairy tale king, Ludwig II of Bavaria. He commissioned by the king in homage of Richard Wagner, who was a fantastical castle. He was not a fantastical castle. He was dang it, I can't read. The fantastical castle was designed by theatrical set designer Christian Jank. The beautiful design was to further enhance the already romantic mountain and forestry scenery. And it is beautiful. It's like right near the border of Germany and Switzerland. So it's like in those beautiful green mountains and stuff. What I didn't know until reading this article said the technology used to build this castle was considered modern and advanced. New inventions such as electricity, plumbing, heat, and steamboats were used in the construction of the castle. And Ludwig himself was considered responsible for the introduction of many of these inventions to the area. But it's this ridiculously elaborate and expensive castle. But one of the things when I visited and we did the tour that I remember learning is the king never got to live in the castle because everyone that lived around the castle was starving and going broke as he built this ridiculously ginormous castle. So the state commissioner pronounced him insane and arrested him.
Oh my God.
But the one thing I didn't know, it says the day after he was arrested, Ludwig requested the commissioner to go on a walk in the woods with him. The commissioner agreed and told his guards to stay behind. Bad idea. Both were found mysteriously dead in a lake later that evening.
Oh my God.
So nobody knows what happened. And like, because both of them died, not just the commissioner.
Yeah, if one came back,
was it like a battle?
The other guy,
no clue. It says after his death, the castle was open to the public to help pay off the expenses, and now attracts over 1 million people a year. Of particular delight, and I don't remember this room, and I wish that I did because it sounds fascinating. Is the Grotto room, an artificial cave complete with stalactites and a waterfall. I do remember just ridiculous like artwork, and I remember that his bed that they made for him, I think they said that there was like 100 different carpenters worked on his one bed, and it was just so intricately carved. It was like insane. But I mean, it's in this extremely beautiful, picturesque place. I remember when we were there were people paragliding over it. So there's all these like gliders going over the castle. It was crazy.
That sounds amazing.
And there's a little town underneath, like below it, that you can like eat food, and you can see the castle and stuff like that. And you can take a horse and buggy up to the castle, or you can walk, but the horse and buggy's cheap, so you can do that. It's just really fascinating, and it's been such an influence on pop culture in general. This is the main castle that we get our stereotype thought of what a castle looks like. And the other castle that I want to mention is the Frankenstein Castle.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did not know that this existed, and it's fascinating.
Is it one from Young Frankenstein?
No, it's a real castle.
Is Frankenstein a real doctor?
It was by the guy that lived here was an alchemist.
So maybe.
So kind of. I wouldn't call him a doctor. Dipel was his name. He was rumored to create potions, perform electrical therapies, and partake in gruesome experiments involving stolen bodies from the graveyard.
Okay, so it is.
Wait, was Frankenstein based off this guy?
It has to be, right? I mean, it's not a coincidence.
They don't know for sure. It says this was in 1673 that he lived in this castle. It says it's disputed whether or not he was the inspiration for Mary Shelley's mad scientist of the same name, who did some cadaver experiments of his own. But it's literally because the town is called Frankenstein, Burg Frankenstein. He attached his name to this. He called it Dipel's animal oil, which he discovered from destructive distillation of animal parts, and claimed it as a universal medicine.
Oh God!
All right, hold on.
This dude made crazy stuff in alchemy, trying to create just this crazy potions and stuff that he was selling to people.
I feel like the combination of these two guys with these castles is what's going to bring it back around to Jeffrey Bezos in our discussion. He's trying to solve aging. This one guy in his giant castle, and everyone around him starving and going through it.
Wait,
and
is Dipel really Jeffrey Bezos?
Jeffy Bezos.
What if it is? What if that's what he used the animal oil?
He used
Yes.
the animal oil is very nondescript in a terrifying way. It was like, what'd you say? It's distilled from demolishing animal parts?
It says destructive distillation of animal parts and claimed as a
That
universal.
makes it sound like it's just like hitting it
them?
with a hammer and putting it in a jar.
It sounds like it's freaking like Walter White sticking it into something and turning it into a liquid, you know?
I think that's very generous to consider what he's doing, like what Walter White was doing. I think there's a lot of hammers involved.
The article talks. So the castle is now in ruins with only 2 towers, a restaurant. But this is what's funny. After we just learned about what this guy did, the castle is now in ruins with only 2 towers, a restaurant with vegan and kid-friendly menu, and a chapel remaining. None of those things go together in my brain.
I mean,
I used to work at a steakhouse that used to be a funeral home.
What?
Yeah.
what's the punchline?
Yeah, I wish there was one.
Wait, was the food good though?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly best food in the city. But the amount of old guys that was
But
going.
the steaks were a little gamey, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had
It
some
tasted
good
like
aged
human.
meat.
If you catch my drift.
But what is interesting, this is why I would want to go during around Halloween time. It says in late October and early November, the Burg Frankenstein Halloween party gathers zombies, witches, werewolves, vampires, and regular visitors for scary dinners and creepy shows.
Wow.
So basically they have like a giant Halloween party every year at Castle Frankenstein.
Wait, so how did this guy die?
I don't know if it mentions how he died in this article.
He was killed by his monster.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I think
Yeah.
that checks. You're there,
At
he
one
drank
point,
his
he ended up
animal
in
juice.
prison on a Danish island for 7 years due to political activity. In 1734, he finally had a stroke and died at the castle, another castle, Wittgenstein near Berlin.
Wittgenstein. Is that what it is?
I do like that literally he was thrown on an island because of political activity. It's just that
Yeah.
it's like, you're in politics, get over there. Get to the island, you idiot.
He ran on a platform of animal oil.
Yeah.
I have this oil. I made it from animal parts. Would you like some? It works for everything.
We need to get this information to Jeffrey. See if
Jeffy.
that's the key.
Hey, Jeffy.
But yeah, I do think there's one more thing that we should tell everybody. I would love for both you guys to talk about your Twitch channels so people can check that out.
Billy?
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a live talk show called The Whenever Show that's on Twitch, and we're every fourth and or last Sunday of the month. We go live
So
at
it's not
7.
whenever.
Well, yeah, the joke is that it's the Whenever Show live. But it's a fun time. We have local comedians on. We'll have some musical guests and stuff, and it's a good time. We got a whole set. It's me and James Maphis, another comedian, and we do.
I've seen James perform. He's really funny.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we have a good time. It's a nice thing because I have a weird sense of humor, and James Maphis does too, and we're able to showcase that in the only the ways that we can. But yeah, the Whenever Show live on Twitch and YouTube.
Is that the name of the handle? The Whenever Show?
Yeah, one word. Or not one word, but
yeah,
4 words
one
combined
word.
into one. It's Twitch TV / the Whenever Show live.
Yeah, and I am a music streamer, and I've been streaming for about a year now. I used to be a touring musician, and I might tour again someday and play shows, but this was sort of the pivot that I took, and I'm really glad I did. But I stream every Friday night. We call it Friday Night Noise, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Twitch, and Sunday Sanctuary every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. to noon. And I sort of just do improvised instrumental music where I do live looping with my guitar and some beats and kind of interact with the chat, and it's fun. And pretty soon we're going to start some Wednesday streams with guests. So maybe you'll see some of these gentlemen on there eventually.
And it's
it's just Infinite Third, one word, INFINITETHIRD.
It is amazing. And you know what's funny that I thought about before,
really
Billy? You really get to interact more on Twitch than when you were just like, I mean, Mouth Council was great. But like normally when you were just doing like your normal set,
no, I understand.
You wouldn't really talk very much.
I actually have been feeling and talking about this that like, even though this isn't like what I wanted to be doing necessarily, because I like live shows and touring, there's something that maybe fits my music style better about Twitch, that everyone can enjoy it from the comfort of their own home and interact with it however they want. And I can kind of present it with not just my music, but I have these little video breaks where I play videos or little fake commercials and stuff. And I have my trippy visuals going. And like, there's something about it that just kind of like makes more sense than sitting up in some of these venues that I've set up in and like had it not be appreciated for what it was, because it's not like an in your face show all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so now I'm kind of like hoping that I'll get back out there and play shows again someday, but kind of change it up and let it be like more of a in your face like band when I go out there. But in my home, I'll be this like kind of what I'm doing here, which is just sort of like come and hang out.
Yeah, I'm hoping you come back to Tampa, St. Pete area, because I've never seen you. I didn't know you until you started streaming.
That's true. Yeah,
I would really love to see one of your
I'm
shows
aiming
live.
for February of 2022, but I don't know. I might delay that. Yeah, wait, who knows? Who knows? It could be next summer.
I mean, heck, I've never met you in person yet.
Yeah, I live in Atlanta now, but I haven't played shows here, and I don't think I'm planning to just yet.
But yeah, I think that's all our discoveries for this week. Billy, thanks so much for coming on the show. It was great to have you, buddy. Anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime
You're
you'd like to come
welcome.
back.
Awesome. Thanks.
And we will talk to everybody next week.
Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.